So, John is back in the gardens of Landhaus Ettenbühl. Very welcome, everyone. So, deadheading is what we want to talk about today. It's like, autumn.
Yeah.
Just started, nearly. 19th of September today. Wonderful weather, one would actually think, oh my God, my spent flowers, I'm still gonna deadhead them, I want more flowers because there's so much sunshine. What should we do? Please tell us.
Stop. Don't do any more.
Really?
What you can do is you can find a really nice flower like that. And you can put it in a vase or give it to a nice lady.
Oh, thank you very much. Okay.
And the ones that aren't so nice, you can also cut off this sort of height because there's a great danger that the snow will break them down. But don't do any more, because if you do, there's going to be a result. And we can look down here at another rose and we can see exactly what the danger is. And that's the danger. We deadheaded this some time ago, hoping that we get some more flowers. We're not going to get any flowers. There's nothing in there. And even if there was, it would be so high in the sky, it would give nothing to the display in the garden. Yeah. So leave it. And the hope is that we get a reasonable autumn and this growth will harden off.
Okay.
If we don't get a reasonable autumn, and that's been the case the last few years where we had roses on the table at Christmas. So
what would be a reasonable autumn?
Well, cold nights, grey, windy, temperature down around sort of 13 degrees, and here we are, we're in 25 degrees. It's fabulous.
It's wonderful, yeah.
It's perfect.
Could stay like
this. Could stay like that.
Yeah. But not for the plants, right?
No, because the huge danger here is that we get -10 or something and all of this just goes black. But it's better that this goes black rather than the plant lower down, because that then is putting the plant at some sort of danger.
So what you're saying is, in former times, one would have sort of, prepared everything for winter. One would have sort of cleaned up the garden. One would have pruned down the roses, maybe not even to the pruning height, but sort of, to tidy them up or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. November, that used to be the work in the garden. The same thing with the herbaceous plants. We'd cut off all the brown tops and everything else. The problem with that is that pruning is a stimulus for growth, even for herbaceous plants. So we've really come to the conclusion that with the climate change, we've got absolutely no idea what's going to happen. We could have -15, we could have -20 even.
Well, we are talking about extremes in any direction, right?
Precisely. And so all we can do is kind of some preparation towards it. So stop deadheading. Don't prune and clean up the garden. It may look untidy to your neighbours, it's indeed to you, but the important point is that if you leave the plants alone completely, they have a greater chance of standing the winter.
Yeah, so just kind of like be a little more lazy and laid back about it all and wait what's coming up.
Exactly, and curiously enough, we did this last year. And we didn't get the polar vortex and all this horror sort of descending on us. But to clean up and prune and do, which we did in early March, was actually a thing of joy. And it didn't take us any longer, but it certainly left the garden in top condition. So, yeah.
Good. So, well, we know all over Europe we had really bad floods just recently.
Yeah.
Poland, Romania, Italy. Well, Italy was not in the last one, but it was in the summer, right?
Yeah, then, they've just got the tail end of Storm Boris in Italy.
And certainly here in Germany, Bavaria and Austria, very, very badly. So a lot of people were writing to us, what do we do with our roses now? They're actually drowned. They are sort of, they're even over flooded or just very wet is there anything we can do to rescue our roses? Do you have a tip for them? Because that's awful. Our heart goes out to you, actually.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's dreadful. Curiously enough, we had a fountain that overflowed. And we have an area with roses in it that's completely bogged. And so, fortunately, we can access these fairly easily. If you can't access them easily, I suggest you use boards so that you're not trampling the ground down anymore.
Yeah.
And then open it as best you can do, because by opening it, you will allow it to drain and you'll expose more to the air.
How can you open it? Well, what would you do?
Well, lightly fork it.
Okay.
Not heavy digging at all, just lightly fork it, just to break the soil surface up, stop it, get it compacted and slimy.
There's actually a very nice rose fork. Well, he would never ever say that, because he's too modest for it. But he's got a rose fork with 3 picks, which is a really nice tool to work with, because you can really easily handle it. And so that's the one we would use to break the ground up to get oxygen in there, right?
That's the whole point. The plants have been denied oxygen because it's full of water.
Yeah.
And the quickest way we can put it back in the soil is by turning it. But we don't want to do it so dramatically that we break up roots and sort of...
Yeah, just aerate kind of thing.
Aeration.
And would you put gravel in there or some kind of other material to help drain or whatever?
It's very difficult. I mean, if you've got a heavy clay soil, yeah, for sure, you must do that. If you've got a fairly medium to light soil, it's not so necessary. The vital thing is getting some oxygen in there, and then the roots of the plant need oxygen to actually function.
So, and what would you recommend to these guys now? Maybe they have their roses, they were like a meter or more underwater, I don't know, completely, slimy and whatever, broken most probably. Should they prune all that back now, or should they just leave them and hope and pray, or what would you recommend?
Definitely don't prune, because you need the energy that's stored in the plant to help the roots redress the problem they've had from no oxygen.
Okay.
And in a stem like this, there's a lot of energy that's stored as starch, which the plant can use because the roots and the stems work together. Okay, so just leave them, aerate, and hope that everything's gonna... That's all that you can do, and hope you get this sort of weather that helps to dry it out. Okay, great. John, thank you very much. That was very helpful, hopefully also to you guys, helpful in your gardens. So if you like it, just subscribe underneath, and then we see you maybe next time. Thank you. Thanks.
Bye-bye.